Yeah, just not excited. I was, yeah, just making a joke. But all right. Pejman, welcome to class. How's it going?
I'm fine, thank you very much.
Nice. Good to
I'm
see you
really
again.
worried because I saw your class is full, but I see now I could be able to kind of enter your class, and I really enjoy. I know I really enjoy it. I will enjoy it.
Yeah. Nice. Well, I'm glad that, yeah, you were able to come in. I'm glad that you also enjoy them. Um, okay. And also, Javier, how's it going?
Fine, fine. I'm fine, thank you.
Okay.
The second
Uh,
class in a row. Can you hear me or not?
yeah, I can hear you well.
I cannot hear
Um,
you now.
you can't hear me. Is anybody else having any trouble hearing me?
No.
Okay. Sorry, Javier. I'm not sure what's up, if you heard that or not. Amp, how's it going?
Hi, teacher. Doing well. What about you?
I'm doing really well. Yeah, and thank you for asking. So, I guess what'd you do today, Amp?
I've been in classes most of the time.
Okay, so lots of classes, busy day with that. And tomorrow, any plans?
Tomorrow I have to buy some ingredients for the meal Christmas, so I am not going to take classes tomorrow.
Okay, just cooking and shopping. Cool. Um, sounds good. Javier, how's it going? No luck. Doesn't look good. All right. Well, let's try to look at today's class. And let's start with Pejman. Can you read the title and the first paragraph?
Yes, grace period. Will Backer. You notice first a difference in a okay. Should I read that part of
Mm-hmm.
the sentence?
Just read the first paragraph.
Okay. You notice first a difference in the quality of space. The sunlight is still golden through the dust hanging in the driveway, where your wife pulled out a few minutes ago Celica, in the Celica on a run to the mailbox, and the sky is still a regular blue, but it feels as if, for an instant, everything stretched just slightly, a few millimeters, a few millimeters, then contracted again.
Okay, nice. Let's look at period.
Yeah, period.
Can you repeat period?
Period.
Yeah,
Sorry.
period.
Yeah, period.
Good. Baker.
It's Baker.
Hmm.
Okay.
This is a type of car. It's a Celica. Celica.
Okay.
Can you just repeat it? Celica.
Yes, Celica.
Hmm. And then we say millimeters.
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 Hmm. So when we've got like those capitalized letters, those are the ones you emphasize. Millimeters.
Millimeters.
Good. Does anybody have any questions in that first paragraph? Okay. Amp, can you read the next paragraph?
You shut off the electric hedge trimmer, thinking maybe the vibration is affecting your inner ear. Then you are aware that the dog is whinnying from under the porch. On the other hand, you don't hear a single bird song. a semi shifts down with a long, long back wrap of exhaust on the state highway, a quarter-mile away. A few inches above one horizon, an invisible jet is drawing a thin white line across the sky.
Okay, nicely done. The vibration.
Vibration,
Nice. And whining.
whining.
Questions here. Does anybody have any questions?
What does winning mean?
Whining.
Whining, sorry. Winning.
What does whining mean? Who knows? Does anybody know what whining means?
Like complaining, crying, no?
Yeah, so like whining is complaining or crying. And in this case, you know, a dog whining is that like really high-pitched kind of complaining sound that dogs make. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense, yeah. And back wrap? With a long back wrap?
So do you like the sound when a car downshifts? The engine gets louder because you're using the engine to stop the car is a downshift, and so
okay, yeah.
there's like a long back wrap of exhaust. I don't know. It's like that. I don't know, when a semi tractor trailer truck downshift, it makes like a large kind of like almost explosion sound, or maybe like a honking sound. That's what he's talking about. It's not a very common word that he's using, a long back wrap of exhaust. Okay, and Sepkin, welcome to class. How's it going? Sepkin, your microphone is muted, so I cannot hear you.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, I'm fine, Joshua. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing really well. Thank you for asking. Sepkin, I do not believe I've had you in class before. Is this your first class with me?
Yes, one time.
Ah, okay. Nice. Well, welcome to class. Hopefully you enjoy it. Yeah, we're pretty
Thanks.
close to the beginning, so... Carlos, can you read the next paragraph?
Yes, you are about to turn the trimmers on again when you have the startling sense that the earth under your feet has taken on a charge. It's not quite trembling, but something like the deep throb of a very large dynamo at a great distance. Simultaneously, there is a fluctuation of light, a teeny pulse, coming from behind the hills. In a moment another, and then another, again and more strongly. You have the absurd sense that everything inflates for a moment, then shrinks.
Okay, nice. You're about to turn the trimmers on again. The trimmers on again.
Trimmers on again.
Mm-hmm. The startling.
Startling.
A charge.
A charge.
Charge.
A charge.
Better. Good. A dynamo.
A dynamo.
And simultaneously.
Simultaneously.
Simultaneously. There's a fluctuation.
A fluctuation.
And a tiny.
A tiny.
And shrinks.
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 Good. Shrinks. It's a tough word.
Shrinks.
Okay, yeah. Okay, and does anybody have any questions here?
A throb, mainly. Something like the deep throb of a very large dynamo.
Okay, a deep throb. So a throb is kind of like a pulse,
Kind of pulse.
and a dynamo is like a machine that creates electricity, or
Mm-hmm.
it's like
Yeah.
an energetic individual. But in this case, it's like as though there was a machine generating electricity. You can like feel the pulse of that machine. Had it been like really, really large in the distance, it's like a deep throb of this electrical generating machine. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's like a beat, mainly in a heart, probably, no? Something like that.
Yeah, kind of. It's more of like
Okay.
mechanical than that in this
Mechanic.
case. But
Okay.
yeah, throb is like a beating or a pulse.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Shrinks.
Shrinks, gets smaller. So everything
Okay.
inflates, it gets bigger, and then it gets smaller. It's like a poof, poof. Yeah.
What
Go ahead.
what does he's doing?
Okay, so basically we have a man and he is outside. He has an electric hedge trimmer. So he's just trimming the bushes, pretty much. So there are
Okay.
plants, and he is cutting the plants. His wife has recently left to get the mail, but he's like noticed this weird difference in the quality of space. There's like a change. Like something stretched and then got smaller. So it got bigger and smaller again. He's like, he shuts off the hedge trimmer. So he's got an electric hedge trimmer, like a device to cut the bushes, thinking it's like maybe the vibration. But then he's like, well, the dog's whining. That's kind of weird. And there's no birds. Like, there are no bird songs. There's the sound of a car, like a semi-tractor trailer, downshifting. So it's like a big, loud noise of a car's engine going faster. And then there's a plane. And turns the trimmers on again. And it's like the ground is taking a charge, like weird. Like you can feel electricity in the ground. It's not quite a trembling. There's like a deep movement, a throb of a generator or an electrical device at a distance. And there's also like this change in the light. So there's like these tiny light pulses, like brightness coming from behind the hills. And then there's another brightness, and then there's another brightness. And then there's this, again, this weird sense of time and space getting bigger and smaller again. So that's where we are so far. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Javier, can you read the next part, next two little paragraphs?
Your heart strikes you in the chest then, and you think instantly aneurysm. You are 135 over 80 and should have had a ketchup 2 months ago. But no, the dog is howling now, and he's not alone. The neighbor's black is also in full cry, and in the distance a dozen others have begun yammering. You stride into the house, not hurrying but not dawdling either, and punch in the number of a friend who lives in the city on the other side of the hills, the county end. After the tone, then a long pause, then a busy signal.
Okay. The tone dance.
Tone dance.
I don't know if that's exactly what it's trying to say. This one was a tough one. So, hold on one. Oh, sorry, Pejman. If he's gone. All right, let's look at aneurysm.
Aneurysm.
A checkup.
Checkup. Okay, yeah, checkup.
Toddling.
Dawdling. Dawdling.
Punch?
Punch.
Okay.
Punch.
Good. No, the dog's howling. He's not on the move. All right. So hold on one second. Oh no. Sorry. I can't really check this because finding this story was such a pain in the neck. All right. Well, I just want to make sure that this is right. So give me a second, guys. Does anybody else, while we're looking for this story, want to know or want the story as the PowerPoint? Does anybody else want this besides Pejman? Anybody? Can I get a yes or a no?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, I'll save it and I'll put it in the chat box while I'm looking for this story. Give me a second. It's a cool story, anyways. Okay. You punch in the number of friends who lives on the other side of the hills, the country seat. After the tone dance, a long pause, and a busy signal. Yeah. Okay. 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 So that's why it's wrong. Weird. Country seat. The tone dance, a long pause, and a busy signal. Okay, and we're good. Any questions in this part? So this part is a little bit complicated. Does anybody have any questions?
Dawdling.
Okay. Does anybody think they know dawdling? Okay, dawdling is going really slowly, like not rushing. You're dawdling, you're kind of just fiddling around. Okay. Any other questions?
Howling? Howling, sorry. Howling. The dog is howling now.
Howling.
Howling.
Yeah. And who knows what howling means? Okay, so like howling is shouting or screaming almost. And so in this case, the dog is just like, yeah, screaming almost.
Like the wolf sound.
Yeah, like a wolf. Yep. And any other questions? What does 185 over, or 135 over 80 mean? Does anybody know? $135 over 80? Nobody?
The heart rate, I don't know.
The blood pressure.
Blood pressure, for sure. Good. You've got high blood pressure. Okay. And let's have I think we're with, sorry, who just read? That was you, Carlos? Who just read? I can't hear you. It was Javier who just read. Okay, Sepkin.
No.
Can you read the next part, Sepkin?
Yes, sure. You consider for a moment, then dial the local volunteer fire chief whom you know, also busy. Stretching the 20-foot cord, you peer out the window. This time the pulse is unmistakable, a definite brightening of the sky to the west, and along with a timber somewhere in the house, grates. You punch the sheriff. Busy. Highway patrol busy. 911 busy. A recorded voice erupts, strident and edged with static telling you all circuits are busy.
Okay, nicely done. A definite.
Definite.
911. 911?
911, yes.
Yeah. What does this mean?
I don't know, but maybe it may be calling the sheriff? I don't know.
Yeah. So you punch in the numbers of the sheriff. You call the sheriff.
Yes.
That's it. Yeah, perfect. And any other questions? Does anybody have any questions here?
The 20-foot cord, is it?
A 20-foot cord, it's an old phone. So yeah, he's just got one of those wired phones. That's it. Any other questions? Okay. And Amp, can you read the next paragraph?
You look outside again, and now there is a faint shimmer in the air. On the windowsill outside against the glass, a few flakes of ash have settled. KWX busy. The courier busy. On some inexplicable, frantic whim, you dial out of state to your father-in-law. Where is your wife? She should have the mail by now. Who happens to be a professor of geology on a distinguished faculty. The ringing signal this time, once, twice, 3 times, a click.
Okay, nice. The ringing signal this time. The ringing signal this time.
The ringing signal this time.
Nice job. Nice work with geology. Good. Questions?
What does frantic mean?
Frantic is like you're almost going crazy. You're like you're unable to like control yourself and slow yourself down. Like you can be frantic. You're like looking all over the place for something. You're like, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Like you're frantic to find it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Is there an explosion?
Yeah, maybe. Any other questions? Okay. And that was Amp. Carlos, can you read? Maybe for a while. I'll tell you when to stop.
Sure. Physical plant. Dr. Abensaz, you babble. You wanted Dr. Abensaz. This is a physical plant, buddy. We can't connect you here. What's going on? You shoot what is happening with the atmosphere. He doesn't know that are in a windowless basement. Everything fine there is lunchtime, and they are making up the weekly football pool. It is snowing lightly now outside on the driveway and lawn and garage. You can see your clippers propped pathetically against the hedge.
Right. What's going on? You shout what is happening with the atmosphere. So you shout.
You shout.
Shout.
south.
Good. They are in. They are in a.
They are in a
hmm The weekly football pool.
football pool.
The lawn.
The lawn,
Propped.
propped
Pathetically.
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 Good. Questions here.
What does clippers mean?
What does what mean?
Clippers.
So it's like the electric hedge trimmers of the clippers. So it's what he was doing at the beginning of the story. He was cutting the plants with this machine.
Mhm.
Yeah, and this is just another name for that machine, the clippers.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay. And Julieta, can you read the next bit?
Once more, at top speed, you punch your father-in-law's number. Again a ringing, a click. This time a recording tells you that all operators are busy and your call will be answered by the first available. The voice track ends and a burst of music begins. And a burst of music begins. It is a large studio orchestra, heavy on violins, playing a version of A Hard Day's Night. At the point where the lyrics should be "sleeping like a log", the sound skips, wobbles, and loops again as if an old-fashioned needle has been bumped from a record groove.
Nice. Operators.
Operators.
Yeah, operators. Good. Questions here. No questions. Okay.
What's
And
it? What does wobbles mean?
what does anybody know what wobbles means?
I think jumping.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So it's something like is wobbling, it's not even. So imagine you've got like a disc, and if the disc is like uneven, it will wobble. So instead of like being perfectly round, it's like kind of got a misshapenness to it. And so if it's spinning, it like doesn't spin perfectly. It just kind of wobbles. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And any other questions? You could also describe a drunk person as wobbling. It's like drunk people kind of wobble when they walk, which is really nice. They wobble when they walk.
Can I say that your brain is wobbling?
Your brain?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you could say that. Wobbling is just a fantastic word.
Okay.
Wobble. Okay. Good. And let's have Javier. Can you read the last sentence?
You look out the window once more, as the house begins to shudder, and see that it's growing brighter and brighter and brighter.
Woo! That's the end. Right. And so the story is called Grace Period. What is happening? What is this story about, Javier?
To be honest, I don't. I don't know. It's about Hard Day's Night. Yeah, it's better if you ask someone else. I'm really lost right now. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it started like someone trying to with using the trimmer with to cut the the plants, but after that I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of.
Okay. Okay. What do you think, Sepkin? Do you have any ideas? What's happening in the story?
Um, um, I think he he is losing his conscious. I don't know.
Um, okay, so he's losing his consciousness?
Ah, yes, consciousness. Yes.
Okay, what makes you think that?
Uh, because he couldn't communicate uh, somewhere some people um, and his his I think he lost his ability of seeing.
He lost his ability to see?
Yes,
Okay, so you got maybe that from the brighter and the brighter and the brighter?
yes.
Okay. So maybe he's losing consciousness. We've got this idea that he can't connect with anybody, he can't talk to anybody.
Hmm.
Um, and then maybe brighter and brighter, brighter. So okay, so that's a theory. Amp, what do you think is happening here?
I don't know. I'm lost. I, I just read that the dogs that it was howling,
Okay.
the blood pressure, the aneurysm, the bride. He was trying to call, and the only it was strange that he wasn't able to call someone else except for the his father-in-law that doesn't live in the same city,
Doesn't live in the same state.
in same state. Yeah.
State. Okay, so the dogs were howling. There was the brightness you mentioned.
Mhm.
Brightness over the hills. All right, I think you've got a really good grasp on what's being described.
Is an alien? No.
What's a grace period? The title of the story is Grace Period. What's that mean?
Well, I know in Spanish, but I can't. I don't know how to explain it.
Mm,
The meaning in English in Spanish is almost the same.
hmm
Um, a period of time that um, you feel that you are connected with the whole spirit.
Okay, in English we've got maybe a little bit of a different meaning. A grace period is like a period of time, like an unexpected period of time. Of time.
Also, we said when, for example, you have a debt and you don't have to pay for during this period of time.
Yes. Yeah. So there's a debt. It's like this unexpected period of like forgiveness of a
Mhm.
debt of whatever before something happens. So a grace period is a period before your debt is collected, and that's kind of what it's referring to in this sense, that we have a period of grace before something. So that's the title. Carlos, what can you give me about this story? Can you give me anything? Carlos, your microphone's muted.
Oh, sorry, teacher, I'm a little lost, but because the text was a little difficult for me. But I think it's when a part of the time when something is happening, but you can't do anything to fix it.
So you're talking about a grace period?
Yes.
Okay. It's not quite like that. It is more that time before something happens. So that unexpected like break that you get, an unexpected break. Or reprieve. But with the story, Carlos, do you have any ideas?
Sorry?
With the story, like what's the story about? Do you think you have any ideas about what the story's about?
It's about no idea. Sorry.
Okay. Okay. Bashar, welcome to class, Bashar. How are you?
I am good, thank you.
Okay. And Bashar, I'm gonna have to skip over you for now. We read a story, so we're just trying to figure out what it's about. But welcome to class, and we'll get to you in just a minute.
Okay. I have
Giulietta.
been here for 1 minute. I don't know what about the story.
Yeah, that's okay. No worries. Giulietta, what do you think? What's happening in the story? You mentioned it before.
I think that there is something that is happening. It is unexpected, and it is something supernatural, maybe.
Okay.
Kind. I don't know the end of the word. I don't know.
What did you say before?
There was ashes, so I said it was a bomb.
Yeah. So
I
this
thought
idea.
it was a bomb.
And so.
Yeah.
This brightening of the sky. The
Yes,
city is
but
on the other side of the hills. So if we look at the city is on the other side of the hills. And that's where the
yes.
lights are coming from. And we've got
Okay.
ashes, and he started cutting his bushes. So at the beginning of the story, he's cutting his bushes, and towards the end of the story, it's like it's now snowing. Could that be the ashes?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, what could that be?
Can be a nuclear bomb. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Could that be? Okay. So, like, where do you get?
It sounds like it was a normal day. That's why I thought it was something supernatural.
Okay. So because it's like a normal day, it could be something supernatural. I don't really know what I just did. Sorry. Yep.
It can be a volcano erupt.
It could be.
It could,
Be a volcanic eruption. For sure. We've also got the image of a single jet. An invisible jet drawing a thin white line across the sky. The dogs kind of get it. The birds are not singing. Yeah, I mean.
What was this song? Sorry.
Oh, the song is the Beatles. It's so when he's calling out of state, he punches the father-in-law's number.
Hardest night.
Yeah. It's actually the song that Ken always says starts with dissonance, um,
Yeah.
which is kind of funny. But yeah, so it's just, when you're on hold, sometimes they play music, and so the music that is playing is a version of Hard Day's Night. Um, yeah. Any other questions?
But at the physics plant, they don't know anything. I don't know. I don't know.
They don't know anything. No. So when he causes the plant, like the geology plant, they don't know anything. Yeah. And
It's cryptic.
sorry, it is very cryptic. So you don't know anything. You just kind of know what he knows, which is not really anything. In the end, there's just brightness. So yeah, you have to kind of make a jump and assume what's happening. Does anybody have any questions about this? Does anybody kind of not get it still? That it could be a bomb, it could be a volcanic eruption, it could be aliens, it could be a lot of different things. It could be the end of the world or something. Though we don't really know. Is there any unclarity about that from anybody? No questions? Okay. So I guess, does anybody have any feedback on the story generally? Like anything they liked or didn't like? Did you guys hate it? Did you like it? Any feedback at all?
I like the description of time and space.
Yeah, I think the idea of space expanding and then contracting is really nice. Another that part kind of made me think of a bomb as well. Yeah. Any other questions or ideas, thoughts? Okay. It was tough. All right, I've got another short story that I'd like to read. I think a few of you have read one of these. I'm not sure which one to do. So I think we're going to go with Popular Mechanics. All right, and I don't really know where we were. So let's start with Bashar. Can you read the title and the first paragraph?
Okay. Popular Mechanics. Raymond Kyle. Early the day the weather turned and the shore, the snow, we as melting into dirty water, the streaks of it ran down from the little soldier's high window to face the backyard. Cars slashed by on the street outside, where it was getting dark, but it was getting dark on the inside too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cars sloshed.
Or
Can you repeat sloshed, Bashar?
Slashed.
And Raymond Carver.
Raymond Carver.
Yeah, that's the author's name. Okay, questions? Does anybody have any questions here? Cars sloshed. So, cars sloshed by. Bashar, what does that mean?
I don't know.
Okay. Does anybody know what that means?
They slipped on the road.
I wouldn't say it's quite slipping.
Cars, they are getting wet.
Yeah, to some extent. So if we've got an image of slush is like melted snow. And so if they're slushing past, they're just driving through this melted snow, ice, water mix. So it's just kind of a gross slushing, you know. So it's just the medium through which they're passing is slush, so they're like slushing by on the street outside. Hopefully that makes sense. And all right, let's have Amp. Can you read the next part?
He was in the bedroom pushing clothes into a suitcase when she came to the door. I'm glad you're leaving. I'm glad you're leaving, she said. Do you hear? He kept on putting his things into the other suitcase.
One more.
Okay, son of a gun. I'm so glad you're leaving. She began to cry. You can't even look me in the face, can you?
Nice. And so pretty straightforward. He's leaving. She's glad he's leaving. They're kind of fighting. Sepkin,
Yeah.
can you read the next part?
Yes. Then she noticed the baby's picture on the bed and picked it up. He looked at her and she wiped her eyes and stared at him before turning and going back to the living room. Bring that back, he said. Just get your things and get out, she said. He did not answer. He fastened the suitcase, put on his coat, looked around the bedroom before turning off the light. Then he went out to the living room.
Fastened.
Fastened.
Good, fastened. And nicely done. Questions here? Actually? So does anybody have any questions? Sepkin, what's it mean he fastened the suitcase?
He continued to pick up his things to the suitcase, I think.
Not quite. Any other ideas? Fastened the suitcase? Does anyone know?
Yeah, it's like
fasten
when
the belt, no? Like put on the suitcase.
I'm not sure. Amp, what were you gonna say?
almost the same, like when you have fastened the belt on the the seat in your flight.
Yep. Okay. Good. So like to tighten or to close. So he closed his suitcase and he made sure it wasn't going to open again. Put on his coat and then went into the living room. Okay. And let's have Javier. Can you read the next part?
He stood in the doorway of the little kitchen holding the baby. I want the baby, he said. Are you crazy? No, but I want the baby. I'll get someone to come for these things. We are not touching this baby, she said. The baby had begun to cry and she uncovered the blanket from around his head.
Yeah, the baby had begun to cry.
Begun to cry.
Good. Questions? Okay. Let's have Julieta. Can you read the next bit?
He moved toward her. Oh, she said, looking at the baby. He moved toward her. For God's sake, she said. She took a step back into the kitchen. I want the baby. Get off of here. She turned and tried to hold the baby over in a corner behind the stove. But he came up. He reached across the stove and tightened his hand on the baby. Let go of him, he said.
Good. Questions? Okay. And Bashar, can you read the next part?
Okay. Where it begin?
Get away, get away.
Okay. Get away, she cried. The baby was red-faced and screaming. In the scuffle, they knocked down a flower pot that hung behind the stove. He crowded her into the wall then, trying to break her grip. He held on to the baby and pushed with all his weight. "Let go of him," he said. "Don't," she said.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry. Pushed. He pushed with all his weight.
Yes.
Pushed? Can you repeat?
He pushed.
And then weight.
Mm-hmm.
Weight?
He held onto the baby and pushed with all his weight.
Good. And okay, I think that sounded good. And let's have Amp. Can you read the next part?
Don't, she said, you're hurting the baby, she said. Don't, she said, you're hurting the baby, she said. I'm not hurting the baby, he said. The kitchen window gave no light. In the near dark, he worked on her fisted fingers with one hand, and with the other hand he gripped the screaming baby up under an arm near the shoulder.
And one more sentence. Oh, wow.
She felt she felt her fingers being forced opened. She felt the baby going from her.
Good. Sapkin, can you read the end?
"No," she screamed, just as her hands came loose. She would have it, this baby. She grabbed for the baby's other arm. She caught the baby around the wrist and leaned back. But he would not let go. He felt the baby slipping out of his hands and he pulled back very hard.
Yeah, and that's the end. Whew. That story is stressful. Javier, what's happening in this story? Javier? Julieta, what's happening?
There is a couple, and they are fighting for the baby because they are going to break the relation. But now they are the baby is the scapegoat. I don't know how to say that. Kind of. They are fighting for. I don't know how to express that. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean they're fighting for possession of the baby. Like the baby becomes like the thing that they're fighting over. What happens to the baby? Do you guys think?
He will get hurt for sure.
For sure. Yeah. We have a terrible sensation that the baby is ripped apart almost.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you don't have to read it literally, but it can be read literally. It's a heavy one. Anyways, hopefully you liked the stories. I like the two of these. There's some good ones. I do have to go. I've got another class right after this. Thank you guys for coming in. Bashar, really nice to meet you. Sepkin, nice to see you, I think, for the second time.
Pleased to meet you.
Yeah, everybody else is really good to see you.